Darlings, it's Mummy, Sybil Brunson. And I'm coming to you live from Fire Island. Darling, it's June 9th, and this is the height of summer normally. And you can see that this is, it's a Tuesday, but even Saturday was as empty as this. There's hardly anyone around, and those that are around, well, most of them are wearing masks. And it's just a very, very quiet island. Very quiet. I got to tell you, the quietude, the quietness, the quiet facility, whatever, is absolutely wonderful. It's so peaceful. As much as I love the clubs and love the performers and love the shows and everything, it's so wonderful not to have the disco racket, Beyonce, Rihanna, screeching, yelling, everything, people screeching at drag performers screeching back, people throwing money, people throwing drinks, etc., etc. I wanted you to see what I accomplished. You saw the other day I came out for the first time this year, this past Saturday or whatever, right after that end of the world storm. And you saw that my garden was absolutely a catastrophe. It looked like Sleeping Beauty's forest. It was leaves and twigs and sticks and all sorts of stuff scattered everywhere, furniture, umbrellas, beach chairs, broken stuff, weeds, plants that tried to survive and didn't, plants that did survive and kept saying, "Where's Mummy? Why is Mummy not here taking care of us?" Well, beside that, Michael Fitzgerald, my neighbor, wonderful neighbor, came and watered the plants when they needed watering and kept them going through the reluctant spring. And some things blossomed. By the way, this is that plant that I was telling you about. It's purple. It's related to a bachelor button. It's called the Centauri montana. This timing. This year was the best year I've ever had it. It had like 15 blossoms on it. Look it up. It's Centauri, as in centaur, Montana. Look up the blossoms. They look like they're from outer space. They look like they should be from Little Shop of Horrors. They're absolutely beautiful blossom, vibrant purple, and there were like 15 of them on this flower, this plant, and it was the best year ever. And I missed it because they came, they blossomed, they lavished, they languished, they celebrated, and then they were all wilted by the time I got here. I deadheaded it, and there's one bud there. They're kind of interesting. They look like little pineapples or something, or pine cones. And there's another one starting. Look at the little purple. You can see the purple even now. Look at that, how vibrant it is. Those are fleabanes next to it. Here's yarrows. I haven't weeded in there yet. For those of you that love my scaevola, there's no scaevola in town yet. I don't know if I'm going to buy them, but there's no scaevola to go in there. And of course, that's where my wonderful, wonderful praying mantises hide every year. So they may be grumpy with me. All right, here's Montauk daisies. I haven't clipped off the tops, but that's what you're supposed to do in May and July, or in June. Woolly thyme. Here's, yes, thyme as in, yes, Thyme, the kind of thyme you use. Here's liatris, gay feathers. There's some more yarrows. These yarrows bloom like this. They're white, and then within a few days they turn into that. Is that yellow? That's chromium yellow. Look at that yellow. It's shaking. The sun is setting, and that is the leftover light. I always tell you that afternoon, evening is the best time in a garden because it's like all of the plants give up the light they've been absorbing all day. Look at that yellow. Mummy did not retouch that. That is not being retouched on the video. I did buy some gazanias. I've become a gazania addict. I adore gazanias. The name alone, they are zany. They put the zany in gazania. They are ridiculous looking. They look like something out of Alice Through the Looking Glass. They just are so cheerful, and as you can see, they're folding up for the night. They close up at night. Isn't that wonderful? They close up at night, just like evolvulus and a couple of other flowers. So they're closing up for the night. Mummy missed their opportunity, but they will be bright and sunny and big tomorrow. More liatris. My beautiful, beautiful, beautiful lavender that I'm bonsaiing. It survived the winter, and it just, I'm so happy. I clipped off all the little buds right now to just give it a chance to be healthier and to keep it from working so hard producing flowers. So I clipped back the flowers, took out some of the dead branches, and did that. No coleus this year. There's no coleus for sale. No coleus this year. There's no coleus for sale. Those are weeds, and I'm letting sort of just letting no New Guinea impatiens this year. They're not. There's none being sold. But look at my heuchera. Isn't that wonderful? That heuchera has been there for years. I've had that heuchera for like 10 years now, and every year it comes back, and it's so beautiful. These are fleabanes. These are weeds, but Mummy encourages them because they're so wonderful. Here's a lavender that is struggling. I wish you could smell it. It is absolutely beautiful. This is a different lavender than this one. I think this is a Spanish lavender, but I'll have to look it up. Anyway, I bought it this way. It was very leggy and very orphany, and it survived, and I don't know quite what to do. I could prune it back, but you have to be very careful about pruning lavenders, because if you prune back to the wood can die and the whole plant can give out. So those are 2 pots of weeds. Oh. I repotted my maiden's tears or bladder campion. They were sinking. Plants do 2 things in pots. They either heave, which means they heave themselves out of the pots. Winter after winter, they climb out of the pots, or they out of the ground, or they sink. These 2 wonderful bladder campions were sinking down into the pots. So I took a risk. I dumped them out, I filled in soil underneath and put them back and soaked them. I'm hoping they're not going to be too stressed. And this one right there started out as a little weed that was so charming, that came in with a plant that I bought from a nursery. And I decided to let it grow, and I nurtured it, and it finally took over the whole pot. Year after year, it took over the whole pot. And then its daughter went to the next pot over. So I have 2 pots of these and the flowers, look it up, bladder campion. The flowers are so cute. They are like little bladders. There's a painted Japanese fern under there. Can you see it? Just charming. I got that from Paul Jablonski last fall, and I planted it in there and hoped it would survive, and it did indeed. Look what Mummy splurged on, as well as gazanias. I splurged on evolvulus, which are the little blue flowers there, and calabrocua, which are those purple ones. And I've done that other years. There's some more over there. So those are going to get a foothold in there. The evolvulus, or dwarf morning glories, I believe is what they're called, fold up also at night. Calabrocua shows off all night long and may even have parties, as far as I know, in the middle of the night. But evolvulus is early to bed, early to rise. So they go to sleep at sunset. They don't even wait for the dark. At sunset, they just sort of say, oh, the sun's going down. And the Calabracua is a drunk and is going to party and probably have martinis, but we're just going to take a nap now. And it's only like 5 in the afternoon. Here's some more Calabracua. Apropos of which, this is the other urn, and I usually put my beautiful, beautiful scaevola in it. Not this year. There's no scaevola to be had, so I decided to put some more evolvulus. Look at my hens and chicks. Some things are kind of forlorn, yes, but others are just, like, again, out of Little Shop of Horrors. I mean, I don't know why they decided to do that. Asters and some of those fleabane, and look at my blue-eyed grass. Blue-eyed grass closes up for the night too. This is just beginning to close up. Can you see it? Just beginning to close up. They also are not party girls. They don't stay up late. That's a wild geranium, for those of you that are wondering. Dianthus, or carnations, those will be blooming soon. There's a little bit of salvia in there. I believe that's salvia. Look at that. And then there's more, I think that's also a different species of salvia. And, or that's the salvia, and that's the, I can't remember. More fleabane. My beautiful balloon flowers, which you'll see later this season when they come up. I repotted them completely. They also were sinking into their pots, and I carefully lifted them out. I'm hoping I didn't traumatize them, and put more soil in them. These need to be weeded. These need to be cleaned. The stalks need to be cut. Mummy knows what she still has to do. Look at this. Beautiful. This is a salvia also, I believe. Or is it Veronica? Oh, I can't remember. I've got to look them up. It's either Veronica or Salvia. Look how, I think it's Salvia. Look how beautiful. And the bees have been all over it all day today. Again, these pots will be all clean. All the extraneous matter, the holly leaves and everything will be pulled out next week when I've cleaned all this out. I'm letting the garden go even wilder this spring, summer. I'm letting more fleabane take over. I'm letting more wildflowers take over because there's just nothing to sell, nothing for sale in town. Last year I had marigolds and I had flowers up on top there. There's nothing for sale. So I'm sort of battling with the other gardeners around town, and I decided that rather than bicker and struggle, I'm just going to have to let things sort of be what they are this year. And I've always said gardening is surrender, no matter how. And my wonderful friend Kim Young, she agrees, and she's one of the greatest gardeners I've ever met. You work and work and work, and you plan and you do everything you can, and then you let go and let God. Some of it just has to be what it is. Is it perfect yet? Is it what it looked like last June, in 2019? No, it's not. I did do some of my groove thing. Look at the boards. They're pretty cleaned out. I swept. I got a lot of stuff up. I've cleaned back in there, although there's still some more to be done. But next week, when I come back, I will get more done. I will get more pruning done, more cleaning done, and get the deck all in place. And we'll see what's for sale, or do I give away these pots to friends and have fewer pots? Anyway, there it is. I always give you advice. I always say to you, be present, be mindful, be grateful. Everything is borrowed. Well, people that teach always have to learn the lessons they teach. As a matter of fact, the old saying is that the greatest teachers and the greatest professors are people who are learning what they teach more than anybody else. They need to learn what they teach, and that's why they're teaching it, because they've had to learn it so very hard. And that's Mummy. I am constantly trying to be more present, more mindful, more grateful. And I am the worst person in the world at saying goodbye. I am not good at goodbyes. I'm not good at saying farewell to things, to plants, to animals, to friends, to anything. A pot with just a sprig of painted fern in it, if it gets sick and dies, it's the end of the world to me. So I am someone who is learning every day to be present, to be mindful, to be grateful, because everything indeed is only borrowed. And so, as my gazanias are closing up by the minute, and as the evolvulus, and look at the blue-eyed grass, look, just in the few seconds that we were just looking at it, look how they're closing. Isn't that amazing? They've closed in just the last few minutes. The gazanias, just in the last few minutes. As these things are closing, as they're going to sleep for tonight, as the garden is relaxing and shining and resting and doing all the things that a garden does, I can't drink these colors hard enough. I can't smell or see or taste everything hard enough. If I could, I would throw my arms around each one of them and thank them for their vibrant green, their incredible sunny yellow, their incredible chromium yellow, their oranges, their purples, their blues, their violets. I couldn't thank them enough or hug them hard enough. So I encourage you to find things that you love and say thank you and hug them. Hug them visually. Hug them olfactorily. Hug them in every way possible. People and animals, cats, dogs, children, the baby in the stroller. Hug your loved ones. And if you don't have loved ones, find ones to love. There's love everywhere. Find it and love it. This is all only borrowed. Only borrowed.